Happy 4th of July. Let the fireworks begin, especially now since the rain is pretty much done, except for a few odd places here and there. We'll be talking about what happened today, what will happen tomorrow, and maybe what will happen for the rest of the week and this coming weekend. That is our 4th of July Joe and Joe Weather Show, brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. So get the truck over there, loaded up with topsoil, sand, and mulch, and more mulch. 631-756-1125 is the telephone number. Nowhere can you find better prices, and the website is
OmniTrueValue.com.
and Tempest by Weatherflow would have come in handy if you wanted to know how much rain fell today in your zip code. Actually, at your house. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system. Join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. The link is on the pinned to the top of the chat board, and it's on the descriptor to this video. Use the referral code and to get to their website where they have other weather gadgets and the latest in smart weather fashion. Use the coupon code Joe and Joe Weather Show, because if you do, you get a whopping
10% off.
and 10% off is good.
I'm getting so excited about this. I'm getting all choked up.
Yes, you are. I just had to fix the video shot on the show. How much rain did you get today?
0.12.
And
I had 1.73 yesterday.
Right. Some places got clobbered today.
Well, we had a thunderstorm at about 6 o'clock this morning. That's what dropped, what fell, and then since then we have had hardly anything. So
yeah, there have been there were some very narrow bands of heavy rains and thunderstorms, and some of those thunderstorms were downright nasty. Even the one that was over Coney Island, they had to put a 2-hour rain delay for the hot dog championship today, which is what matters. Okay, welcome tonight to our 4th of July Joe and Joe Weather Show. And there's nothing special that we're going to do. We're going to do what we do here every night, Monday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. and on Sundays at 11 a.m. Fridays and Saturdays we're off because, after all, we all need a couple of days to recharge our batteries. But should an apocalypse come to be, you can rest assured that Joe and I will be here to hold your weather hand right through that. So make sure you turn the notifications on, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and this way you'll never miss it. So you got to run and do something.
Right. I'll be back in a few minutes. But,
okay. So while you're doing that, I'm going
to leave for the moment.
Okay. Joe will be back momentarily. In the meantime, I'm hoping that everybody has had a very good 4th of July holiday, and now, of course, we go into the evening and nighttime hours, and all sorts of fireworks displays and fireworks shows will be going on, probably starting around 9 o'clock or so. And we did have a little bit of a hiccup here in the Northeast. There were flood watches up for central and southern New England, down to Long Island and New York City and northeast New Jersey. And in a few places as we said, got hammered with rainfall amounts of several inches in some cases. Some of the rainfalls were even more than several inches in parts of northern Connecticut and on up into central New England. However, things are improving. We've been waiting. This front, we've been following the progress of this weather front. This is the latest surface map from WPC. It was plotted at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And this low that you see in northeastern Connecticut, or actually in northern Rhode Island, and the trailing cold front that runs down into North Carolina has taken all day to move just a handful of miles, but it's finally moving to the east and moving offshore. So as that little low developed on this wavy front, we saw some showers and thunderstorms that popped up. Not everybody saw them. They were narrow bands of hit or miss variety. If you got under them, you got clobbered. If you didn't, you might have been wondering what's going on. But now that the wave has moved to the north and the front is beginning to edge to the east, we're seeing some improvement going on to the west, and that improvement is going to be settling in. So I think for the most part, we should be in pretty good shape. Meanwhile, looking down through the southeast, in the Carolinas, for example, where temperatures got into the 90s today. Also in Georgia, except for here in northeast Georgia, where I am, didn't get much above the low 80s here in the mountains. Probably got to middle or upper 80s in town, but it was a pretty decent day. We still have relatively high humidity levels, and unfortunately, behind this front, as we look at the dew points over the Great Lakes and in the Ohio Valley, they're mostly in the 60s. You go up into Michigan, you start to get to some dew points that are in the mid and upper 50s, but that's just a small area really that's showing dew points that low, and I don't think we're going to see much in the way of dew point relief over the next couple of days. In fact, with the sun out, a little bit more sun the next 2 days, we'll probably see temperatures in the mid 80s to around 90 degrees or so in eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England. Meanwhile, we've got this wavy front that runs through the central Rockies and up through the central plains and then kind of snakes its way through northwest Iowa into Minnesota. There's another cold front that's being analyzed in northwest Minnesota through the Dakotas and into southern Montana. The air behind that is actually cool and dry, but the air in between is where we are seeing some showers and thunderstorms and some severe weather tonight from the Central Plains to the western Great Lakes. And we'll be talking more about that when we get to the radars. In the southwest and into Southern California, a lot of three-digit highs here for temperatures, as it's pretty much typical. The heat ridge that was over the Texas and into the Gulf states here has really flattened out. So, yeah, temperatures reached up into the low 90s, but it's July the 4th, so temperatures are supposed to reach up into the low 90s there. Along the Gulf Coast, a humid day, temperatures that topped out around 90, and some thunderstorm activity, of course, occurring along this wavy front that runs through southern Georgia and down into Alabama and Mississippi. A lot of fronts around for a summertime map, which is a bit odd. And here's the satellite loop with the latest lightning strikes. I'm just going to give it a quick refresh. And you'll notice the lightning strikes from a few hours ago in the Northeast, particularly down in southern New England and over Long Island. Now they're gone. And there's drier air. Skies have cleared out throughout much of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, clearing out across Massachusetts and Connecticut as that little band of moisture pushes to the east. Still some thunderstorms lingering in parts of Vermont and northern New Hampshire and in the northern areas of Maine, but they should fade away in short order. Getting a lot of lightning strikes from scattered thunderstorms from coastal North Carolina, across South Carolina, parts of Georgia, into Alabama and Mississippi, back into northern Louisiana and parts of Arkansas and into Tennessee. And you'll notice the increasing lightning strikes and what looks like the formation of a line of heavy thunderstorms from northwestern Iowa down into Kansas and back over into eastern Colorado. So that's where SPC's attention is going to be tonight and has been with various severe thunderstorm watches that are up. I don't think Mr. Rayo is back yet.
I'm here.
Oh, you are? Here. Oh, so you're waiting for me. Okay.
So I've actually been here for 5. I went upstairs, and to make a long story short, they already did what I thought they were going to do to wait for me, but they went ahead and they did it anyway. So
all right. Well, why don't we start looking at some radars, and you could take us around on a tour.
Okay, I will do that. Hang on for a moment as I get all of this together here for all of you.
One thing we're always on this show is prepared.
Yes, well,
it happens.
Sometimes more prepared than, so less prepared than others. I'm going to start with Boston tonight because that's where really all the action is showing up in the northeast, and it's a rather impressive picture. So let me just get the share button up. Oh, here we are. And ta-da! I hope are you seeing it or?
Oh, yes, we're seeing it. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. We have this storm and frontal associated front that is now clearing Long Island, and also in the last few frames clearing southeastern Massachusetts. Even Cape Cod and the islands are now pretty well free and clear of any significant precipitation. When the loop starts, that was about 3 hours ago, you could see some rather potent showers and storms right along the immediate Long Island Sound coastline on into the coast of Rhode Island and, again, Massachusetts. But, again, everything is progressing along fairly quickly. Now, at the same time that all of this is happening, we also have a few showers coming or trying to come down the Hudson River Valley here, right along the boundary line between New York State and Vermont and Massachusetts. And they are probably going to pull a fade out over the next 60 minutes or so. We can go to New York City where, of course, there are many, many thousands of people who are waiting with bated breath for the Macy's fireworks display, which will happen, I believe, at 9:30. That's just about an hour and 45 minutes from now. And you can see that, for all intents and purposes, all the showers, the threat of showers, have pretty well gone. And in fact, Joe, I think it's going to be in the New York City area, partly cloudy to clear evening with a waning gibbous moon shining high in the eastern sky for the fireworks. So it looks like, once again, the Macy's people luck out. There does not appear to be any problems or difficulties weather-wise with the potential for any showers and storms during the big fireworks show tonight. Head southward. Let's go down to let's go down to Birmingham tonight and see if there's anything active there. And there is. We do see some rather potent showers and storms located initially well south and west of Birmingham, but as you can see, they're progressing on a northeast direction, and that will be probably affecting the folks in portions of southern and central Alabama during the next hour or two. So if there are any fireworks displays going on down in Alabama, they may be hindered to a degree by the threat of showers and scattered thunderstorms. Any place you'd want to go in particular?
Go to Atlanta, because there's I think a little cluster that's to my southwest. I want to take a look and see if it's going to get close to me. And you'll see it. It pops up and then moves over the Atlanta area.
Well, there seems to be something that's developing just to the west of Atlanta, and unlike what you would expect at this hour, it's not really diminishing. It's actually increasing a bit. So, yeah, so places to the west of Atlanta, Georgia, are going to be seeing some shower activity and maybe some rumbles of thunder as well.
All right. Let's also check out.
Also, pretty good cluster up here. That's not too far away to your east-northeast, Joe.
Yes.
Right there, along the Georgia-South Carolina border.
Yeah, that's northeast of me, so that's already passed.
Yeah, okay.
I saw the tail. Why don't you there's a storm that's moving southward down the Northway heading for Albany. You might want to take a look at that on the Albany radar.
And this is what apparently Joe is talking about. Here's Albany. And, yeah, there's some, and we mentioned this just a few moments ago, that there are some showers. It looks like, in fact, in the right around Schenectady, they're getting hit right now, and just north of Albany, they're seeing some grumbles and rumbles of thunder as this line indeed takes a path that looks like it's coming straight down the Northway, as Joe mentioned, I-87. It looks like we'll be passing through the Albany area within the next, I would say next 15 to 30 minutes. So we have people up in the Albany area, and they'll probably be being affected by this over the next half hour.
And now you can switch over to a radar in eastern Nebraska because they're getting hammered there with half a dozen severe thunderstorm warnings that are up at the moment.
Ooh. Oh, wow.
It's
Look at
very
this.
exciting.
Wow. You're absolutely right. This is Omaha, Nebraska is right here. And located, I would say, what, about 50 to 75 miles to the west. You have some rather serious looking showers and storms that are bubbling up. And it appears that this line is actually intensifying a bit as time wears on. So uh, maybe some nasty weather for places in eastern Nebraska heading toward Iowa. And all of this again moving at a pretty good clip to the east northeast.
All right. I'll switch now to the wide radar view on my side as you unshare. Let's see, are you there? No, you're not there. So when we come back, I'll bring you up. But there's the wider view of what Joe just showed you, what's going on in eastern Nebraska, and also extending down through central parts of Kansas. Just all those yellow boxes with severe thunderstorm warnings that are up. Not seeing any tornado warnings. We're getting to the time of year where tornadoes, not that they can't happen, but you're not getting these cold air masses coming down from Canada anymore to really fuel the sharp contrasts in temperatures and stronger short waves that drop in. So there's the tornado formation is less likely as you get into the July-August time frame. But you do get to see a lot of severe thunderstorms where the problem is usually wind and big hail. Also seeing some warnings popping up in parts of Colorado. You can see the active radars there and on up into Wyoming. Also back down on the Gulf Coast. Well, not on the coast, but inland across northern Mississippi, we've got quite a bit of shower and thunderstorm activity going on there. And then there's a broken line of storms running east-west through central Mississippi and into the northern half of Louisiana, extending into parts of East Texas. And of course, the west is dry. The Storm Prediction Center tonight with an enhanced risk of severe weather in those areas in Nebraska and Kansas, with a larger area of slight risk back to Wyoming and Colorado and to the east into Iowa. The marginal risk zone across the south is playing out now. The marginal risk zone that's from central New Jersey down into North Carolina has pretty much exhausted itself with what was on the radar. So that I think is a done deal. And then over the next couple of days, most of the risk runs through Illinois, across Missouri, into so let's call it the Mississippi Valley and parts of the Missouri Valley Basin. And then we have northern Arkansas, much of Oklahoma, northwest Texas, northeast New Mexico, and into Colorado. Marginal risk in the southeast and across the Gulf states to about Mississippi, so that includes me tomorrow. General thunderstorms being indicated in the northeast and northern mid-Atlantic states, but I tend to think that tomorrow and Thursday, whatever pops up will be few and far between.
I agree.
And across the northern border states and back in the west, except for a small area in Oregon and northern California, no thunderstorms are forecast for tomorrow. And then for day 3, which is Thursday into Friday, general, again, Thursday probably few and far between here in the northeast. General thunderstorm activity possible in east of the Mississippi. And then you have a marginal to slight risk running up from Arkansas northwestward through the Central Plains and on up into Montana. Rainfall over the next 7 days. We take a look at what WPC has to say, and still fairly bullish. Even though we're going to get a couple of days off, we do have some risks for showers and thunderstorms beginning maybe late Friday, but particularly I think for Sunday as a stronger weather system approaches. So they've got a pretty large swath of an inch and a half plus from Maryland and Delaware northeastward up into central New England and northern New England. It's funny. I think back to last summer where for quite a while you couldn't buy any kind of thunderstorm activity. uh, shows you what the difference between when you have a ridge in the east as opposed to having a trough in the east, which is what we have now. Heavy rains, also 1.5 to 2.5 inch rains over the Mississippi and Missouri Valley Basin from northern Alabama and Mississippi northwestward up into southern Nebraska and eastern Kansas. Some of this includes, by the way, what's going on tonight. But in general, everybody east of the Rockies, anywhere from 3/4 of an inch to 1.5 inches is possible, and the ridges in the west, and things are dry. So, you want to do the short range? Well,
Well,
get you back on the screen here. See what's happening. Hold on a second. One click. Yay, you're there. You want to do the short range?
Or as Paul Winchell used to say with one of his puppets, I think it was Knucklehead Smith. He said, "I have an idea," and he said, "Oh, novelty night." And it actually worked tonight. That the sharing capability, you turn it off and bang, here I am back on the screen. So that's good. Yeah, I could do some short range outlook. To as far as what we're looking at right now, Joe. As we mentioned, it looks like for the fireworks displays here in the Northeast, the low pressure system and associated weather front is pushing away offshore just enough to allow for the precipitation to be offshore and drier air coming into the region. So I think that tonight, especially in the New York metropolitan area, we'll just have no worse than partly cloudy, maybe even becoming partly cloudy to clear, and the moon is now just past full phase, so we'll have a waning gibbous moon in the sky, sharing the billing with the fireworks displays. And tomorrow, we're looking at high pressure that is going to be building in from the Tennessee River Valley. By tomorrow afternoon, it will be pretty well embanked across the northern Virginia, or the ridge line will be from northern Virginia through New York State and even on up into eastern Quebec. But what this looks like is a pattern where, with a very high sun and with the lack of any thunderstorm activity, yes, so you saw SPC cover the entire region with general thunderstorm coverage. But as Joe mentioned, the thunderstorms in the Northeast tomorrow are going to be very few and very far between. And there's a fair chance that tomorrow in New York, we're going to have mainly sunny skies. And it looks like, at least from the guidance that I was looking at earlier today, Joe.
Which I'll put up on the screen here. Hang on a second. I thought you were going to share that. Hold on. Let me bring it up. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. So, yeah, as you said, few and far between.
Right.
I got the GFS up. It really just, you see these little patches of green, so that just is all scattered stuff. A little more numerous in the south and a little more numerous from the Great Lakes down into Missouri, Arkansas, southern Kansas, Oklahoma for Thursday.
And I mean, they do have, WPC does have some kind of a warm front across New York State and across New Jersey and Long Island and the immediate adjacent coast of southern New England. So I don't know, maybe that might trigger late tomorrow an isolated shower or storm. But most of the time tomorrow, if not all of the time, it's going to be dry. It's going to be sunny. And it looks like if you are thinking about going to the beach or maybe going to a pool or, something to stay cool, tomorrow will be a good day to do that, because I'm thinking, Joe, that temperatures, at least in the lower Hudson Valley, are going to be somewhere at or above 90, maybe even in a few places 95 degrees tomorrow. One of the hotter days that we've had. In fact, probably the hottest day that we've seen here since, believe it or not, last April, when we had a spate of heat and days that were at or above 90. And another hot one coming up, it looks like, for Thursday. Thursday, again, looks to be rather warm, if not downright hot, with temperatures in and around the area around 90 degrees. Again, there might be a spot shower or thunderstorm here or there, but it doesn't really look like much of anything. And beyond that, we do have systems that are going to be converging on our area for the start of the weekend. It looked like at one time that we would be looking at the possibility of some very heavy or copious rainfall for the upcoming weekend, at least on Saturday into Sunday. On Friday, we're going to have another front approaching from the west. And on Saturday, it looks like we're going to be seeing that front literally on top of our area. But low pressure, which was expected to be developing on that front, well, it doesn't look like that's going to be happening.
Well, that comes on Sunday.
It may. To me, it looks like
it comes on Sunday in a big way, just inland anyway.
Well, we have some kind of a wave offshore, but then there's another frontal line that's coming in from the west, and some kind of a wave of low pressure developing on the Ohio Valley,
Right.
And that's coming in for Sunday, and then on Monday, that whole mess is going to be in our vicinity. So yeah, so as we progress through the weekend, the odds of showery weather will be increasing, but it does not look initially like we were going to get the very potent or heavy rains that we were thinking about. Maybe for Saturday, whatever we get may hold off until Sunday, later Sunday and into Monday.
Yeah, what strikes me with the overall pattern, and I just keep looking at this the last couple of days. Just I have the full North America view of the upper air. It's not often that you see in July a wrapped up upper low in central Canada that just basically spins and goes nowhere. But this is what this one does. I mean, it forms up in northern Canada, drops southward along the west shores of Hudson Bay, gets down almost but not quite to between Superior and Hudson Bay, and then just spins around and keeps spinning around and just rotates and rotates and rotates, and it just generally keeps us in this really broad trough in the eastern part of the United States. We're now into next weekend and on the map, and it goes nowhere. There's an east-west ridge across the southern half of the U.S. That's kind of anchored, but it's not amplifying northward because of the troughing and the jet that runs from the west coast, from the Pacific Northwest. There's a cutoff off the west coast, and you got this long westerly jet. By the time we get to the end of the period, that upper low somehow finds its way over into eastern Canada. But again, this is a pattern where we're going to continue to see these weather fronts come through every few days. They seem to want to get hung up near the coast when they get here for a day or so and then move out. I don't see that pattern breaking down anytime soon. And even eventually, this upper low does start to pull out, but then more troughing settles in across the Great Lakes and points southward. And now we're to July 20th. Bottom line is, however it winds up looking, because it's probably not going to look exactly like this, we continue to see this tendency for troughing in the east and a rather active jet stream for this time of year. And that certainly means, well, you get the occasional hot days, which we're going to see tomorrow and Thursday, and that's it. Then you'll have a front come by to put an end to it, and on it goes. So until we get until this upper air pattern changes, we're not going to get any heat waves in the Northeast, and I'm talking about 4, 5, 6, 7 days in a row of 90 degrees plus. That's just not in the cards.
No, it doesn't. And it looks like, in fact, the hot temperatures, the readings above 90 or even triple-digit readings, the excessive heat, that'll probably be mainly over Texas, as we've been seeing that for a number of days already, New Mexico, and maybe a small slice of Arizona, eastern Arizona. But the 90s will be confined basically to areas. Now, I'm not talking about the next few days. As I said, tomorrow and on Thursday, I'm thinking temperatures up here in the Northeast or up here in the New York area will be at or around or even above 90, maybe even some areas, maybe urban areas in New Jersey will be around 95 tomorrow. But once we get past the end of this week, once we get into the weekend, a somewhat cooler, if you can call temperatures in the 80s. Airflow will be taking over with the threat of shower activity, which will probably linger right through the weekend and on into the early part of next week. So, yeah, if we have a shot of the heat wave, if we have that kind of thing, it would have to come over the next 3 days, tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. I think we definitely will be seeing New York hit 90 or above tomorrow. Could possibly do it on Thursday. Not quite sure if we would make it on Friday. Probably more like upper 80s to near 90 degrees.
I brought up this is the 16-day rainfall off the GFS, and I mean, just to give you an idea in terms of what this kind of upper pattern does in terms of the flavor of the precipitation across the country. Now we know that the most of the West doesn't see rain for 2 weeks, if not 2 months, but that's dry. But we've been pointing out on WPC's rainfall forecast maps for the last several days or more how everywhere east of the Rockies gets anywhere from 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a half or more over the 7-day period. Of course, that's also thunderstorm driven, so you know that there are going to be places that are going to get a lot. But if you look at this, I mean, everywhere east of the Rockies gets, the darkest blue is a half an inch. So we could actually even go to the wider shade. There's a lot of areas here over the next 2 weeks that are going to get at least 2 inches of rain, and in those darker purples that you see, that's 4, 5, 6, 7 inches of rain. And parts of Illinois, parts of Kentucky, Tennessee, down along the Gulf Coast, and parts of Oklahoma and southern Kansas. In the Northeast, it's more along the lines of, say, 3 inches, 4 inches of rain for much of the Northeast over the next 7 days. This is when you have a pattern like this, where the Canadian jet is far south of where it should be for July, you're going to get thunderstorms. It doesn't mean it rains continuously, but you are going to get opportunities for thunderstorms as we continue to see, front after front going by. And as Joe said earlier, there's one that approaches on Friday. So if I'll roll the map up. So here's the one for Friday, and it'll probably set off some showers and storms. Maybe they make it to the coast, maybe they don't, but they do affect the inland areas down through the southern Appalachians, by the way. So that goes all the way down. And this is early Saturday morning. Then they fire up again because the front gets hung up, and then there's a short wave that's going to come along and make a low. You see it there in southeastern Virginia on Sunday, and then that rolls up northward to bring up an area of rain, and you see it there, and then that goes by, and then there's another one behind that for Tuesday. Little break on Monday maybe, but then there's another one that's there for Tuesday, and then that goes out. And then take a look as we go to the end of later next week. Here's another front. This is next Thursday that moves along. With some showers and thunderstorms. And then that goes out. And then here comes another one. Now we're at Monday the 17th. Now, obviously the timing on this is going to change. A few things are going to be different. But, we can pretty safely say that as long as that Canadian jet is active, we're going to continue to see these systems come through on a regular basis. So good for not having droughts. At some point, the unequal nature of the rainfall will even out. Places that maybe have gotten a lot of heavy rain in the past week or two might get a little bit less, and places that haven't gotten much because they've been part of the miss group may be in the hit group when these other systems move along. So at the end of the day, it may just it could very well all even out over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting. I'm taking a look here. One of our people on the chat board made a reference to Dr. Cohen, Dr. Judah Cohen. I'm saying, really, I did, I'm in a joking manner. I mean, we look to him during the wintertime, but he's also talking about, right now, actually, according to his latest tweet, he's in the Bahamas. He's vacationing in the Bahamas and posts a picture of a tropical rain shower. He says, it's not snow, but something I find very calming.
Yeah.
And And yeah, he apparently is alluding to, this is a statement that, you could take,
Well,
one.
he illustrates region that's up in the North Atlantic that's up running up over Greenland and has just really displaced the Canadian jet stream well to the south of where it normally should be.
Right. He says in today's blog, which is available for an early look, I think for a price, but he says, I discuss how this summer's weather resembles/differs from other recent summers and how the weather pattern will evolve. And I also discuss a recent paper that he's written in the context of summer so far. So, I mean, I just literally, for the first time in quite a few months, I literally just clicked onto his Twitter site. I have not had a chance to look at anything that he has posted, other than the fact that he says this summer, he's going to point out how this summer differs and resembles other recent summers. I don't know what that means, but in any case, the displaced northern jet stream certainly will have a say or play in what will be happening for this summer season. I can tell you that Climate Prediction Center, just in the eastern half of the country, it's above normal probabilities for precipitation for not just the next 6 to 10 days, but for the next 8 to 14, and even perhaps for the next 3 to 4 weeks. So,
well, look, this is what he's talking about. Take a look at the NAO. Let me get myself out of the way here. But take a look at the NAO right now. It's 2 standard deviations negative, Joe, and it's forecast to remain that way through the middle of the month. Comes up a little bit toward the very end. But we haven't seen 2 standard deviations negative. Certainly we didn't see it all winter. We barely saw 1 standard deviation for a brief moment in mid-February and again in late March. But it has been, for this time of year to be that low is rather remarkable.
Well, and you're absolutely right. And in fact, Miss Spellerite, thank you. She writes Joe Rayo, read his article, which is linked in a previous tweet. So I will do that. Again, I just flicked on. I had not looked at Dr. Cohen's Twitter site for going back to the end of last winter. So this is the first time I've had. In fact, in thinking about it, I don't think I've ever looked at anything that Dr. Cohen has put out during the summer months. So this is
it went far too long. We're going to. The first 6 months of this year flew by. Before too long, we'll be talking about the upcoming winter. We're not going to talk about it now, but we are going to talk about it soon enough.
Yes.
I know, much to the chagrin of snow lovers watching tonight. No, we're not going to talk about it now because we've got nothing. I don't have anything remotely astounding to say about it. I have no clue. I think Leon Probitsky hit the tip jar. Thank you, Leon. It's most appreciated as always. Thank you for hitting Super Chat tonight. Do you have Briller Jeopardy?
Yes, I do.
Good. So we could do that, and we're going to wrap up the show early so everybody can go get their popcorn and watch the fireworks on television. I'm going to bed early.
Well, I hope that we don't have too many of those in my vicinity because I know my dog is a little bit shaky with the. I don't know about yours, Joe.
I could care less.
It's all right.
Thunderstorms, nothing. Fireworks, nothing. Gunshots going off when the neighbors are doing target practice, nothing. So he doesn't care. He sees he hears a leaf rattle because of a squirrel, then he goes crazy.
Yeah, I don't understand what happened around my neck of the woods. I don't think I have seen a squirrel in my area in many weeks. Maybe
your property taxes are too high.
But I rely on the squirrels show to tell what the upcoming winter is going to be like.
All right. Well, they usually in the hot months they disappear. They don't come out that much during the daytime.
Yeah. Well, I remember a few was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Yeah, it was 3 years ago. I knew we were going to be in for a nasty winter because I saw a squirrel was burying canned goods in my backyard. Okay. So anyway, so on this edition of Briller Jeopardy, Central Park heat records. With question number 1, what was Central Park's longest heat wave
In days.
in days?
I'm going to say
And if you can list the month and the year that this happened, that'll be a bonus.
I'm going to say 13, and I don't remember the year, but it might be one of those where like part of it's in July and part of it's in August.
Well, I'll tell you what. Leon Probitsky, number one, got the correct year. It was Leon 1953. As far as you said, what, 13 days?
13.
Well, a little bit off, but
Well, Howard A says 12 days in
12 days.
1956.
In
12.
fact, Howard A is correct all around. 12 days, August 1953.
Okay. Carol DeCara also says 12.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
There you go. Now, when was the last 100-degree day in Central Park?
The last one? Didn't we talk about this the other night?
Yes.
And didn't I say that there was something in like 2017 or 2018 where it got to 100? Like LaGuardia got to 106 or something?
But we're talking about Central Park.
Yeah, I know, I understand. I'll say 2018. I don't remember.
All right. Well, it was the last time. Well, let's see on the chat board. Last time that we had 100-degree temperatures here in the New York or in Central Park. People are saying, Steve LaPointe 2021, Maggie P 2020, Northern Grace 2017, but Rich
Rothmansky 2012.
2012.
Oh, maybe LaGuardia got to 100. Well, I keep saying 106. Maybe they got to 100, and they were the only one, or maybe them and Newark got to it. And yeah, never mind. Forget me. I've lost my mind.
Rich got it. Michael Azera got it. Howard A got it. 2012, and the date in question, July 18th, 2012. Last time Central Park hit 100 degrees.
So it's been 11 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
You never know. The summer's not over yet, so we'll see whether or not we can challenge that in one way, shape, or form before the summer is over. How about the most consecutive 100-degree days?
I'm going to say 3.
Okay, you're right on that.
And I'm going to say 19. I want to say either 1966 or, wait a minute. I'm trying to remember my mind. Or 1977. But it's 3. I'm not sure of the year.
Well, I can understand why a lot of people like yourself and Norm Roberts, for example, 1966. In 1966, we did have a very potent heat wave. And in fact, at LaGuardia Airport on July 3rd, 1966, it hit 107. I don't understand why, they say the hottest temperature ever recorded in New York City was the Central Park reading of 106 when we hit 107 at LaGuardia. But anyway, that's the way it goes. And it was not 1966. It was not 1977. Or even it was not 1988. 1988 was a very hot year, too. It was 1993.
93?
July 8th, 9th, and 10th, 1993.
Okay.
Okay, so now, how many times in June now, has it hit 100 degrees at Central Park since 1869?
In the month of June.
In the month of June.
Oh, God. I don't know. I'm going to say over 160 years in the month of June, hitting 100. I'll say 6 times.
Louis Rizzio said 5. John Millander said 6. Howard A says 1. Steve LaPointe says 2. Keith James II says 7. Maggie P says 1.
Shrubby said 8.
And finally, we did get a winner. We have Northern Grace with 3.
3. So it's only hit 100 in June 3 times.
That's right.
Okay.
Last question tonight. What was the most 90-degree days in 1 year at Central Park?
Uh,
I'll give you a hint.
41.
I'll give you a hint. It has happened twice. There have been 2 years where they are tied for the most number of 90-degree days in 1 year at Central Park.
I'll say. Well, I said 41.
41. That Tom Seaver would love that number, wouldn't he? Steve LaPointe says 26. Don Melander says 18. Leon Proditsky, 1936. What are we talking about here, folks? We're talking about the most 90-degree days
In any 1 year.
in any 1 year at Central Park.
Right.
How many times has it hit?
The average, I think, is what, 21?
You know, I'm not really sure. I think it's more like 17.
Okay.
He's about Friedowitz. Leon Probitsky says 38, and that's pretty damn close. So does Keychain the Second, 38.
Adam Lowe said 37.
37. James Davidson, much too low at 15. Latex Stream, 17. Again, normal is about 17 or 18, typically in the summer.
Lou Arizio said 40.
40 is
Close.
close, yeah.
Norm Roberts says 39.
And Norm is right.
Okay, 39.
39, and it has done that, as I said, twice in 1991, and again just 2 years later in 1993. 39 days where the temperature hit 90 degrees at Central Park in 1 year, one summer.
You know, I used to have these numbers all dancing in my head, and as every day goes by, I remember less and less and less and less. Oh, I'm fading away.
Well, you know, maybe you should take that stuff that comes from jellyfish.
Oh, you mean focus factor?
No, there's some product on the
focus factor. It's come from jellyfish, or no, the other one, Prevagen.
Prevagen. Yeah.
See, I can't even remember the name of the. So well, you know.
I was going to get something to help my short-term memory,
but I can't remember what it was. Exactly. All right, let's call it a night, and we'll see everybody tomorrow night at the usual shopping time, which is 7:35. The Joe and Joe Weather Show, as always. Brought to you by our affiliate, Tempest by Weatherflow. Check out the Tempest weather system on their website. The referral link is pinned to the top of the chat board, and it's on the descriptor to this video. You can get the revolutionary Tempest weather system. Join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. And if you do decide to make any purchase on their website, be it this or other weather electronics and weather fashion, just make sure you use the coupon code Joe and Joe Weather Show, because if you do, you'll get 10% off. And Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. Start thinking about hurricane season going into full swing. Make sure you got all your stuff working. If you need a new generator, if you need batteries and supplies and anything else, you can get them at Omni. 631-756-1125. The phone number for the best prices in town, and as Joe Rayo only can say it, the website is
OmniTrueValue.com. And we want everybody to enjoy fireworks displays, hopefully on your TV screen. If you go to fireworks displays in your neighborhood, stay safe. If you are among those who are blowing the fireworks up, stay especially safe, because that's something that really, it's especially if you're...
Right. If you live in the Bronx, this is not the day to be standing around in the middle of the street.
No, absolutely not. And take care. Make sure. Think about.
They used to blow the neighborhood up practically.
Think about the pets, especially the dogs. Who, and I know, as I said at the start, my dog gets very nervous. Actually, went into his cage the other night when he was hearing M80s or whatever getting blown up down the road or whatever.
No, it's been unusually quiet here. They start the fireworks at the town park, I think at 9 o'clock or 9:30, and then they also have them going on in Lake Nottely by the dam. But hopefully not too close to the dam, because you don't want the dam to break, because that's where I get my electricity from. So,
yes,
all right.
Yes.
All right.
So enjoy.
Good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
And thanks to Leon Probitsky for the super chat hit tonight. Thank you, Leon. Thanks, everybody.
Night.